Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Fabric Coffee session at Microsoft Fabric Cafe. My name is Mirdad Abdullahi, the community lead of this great community. So let's kick it off. Today is Friday, maybe the first Fabric Coffee session on Fridays. So, we have done a poll, I think, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, to just let us know what time zone you're mostly interested in for these Fabric Coffee sessions, weekly Fabric Coffee sessions. So let me just step back. If you're new here, we have the weekly Fabric Coffee sessions talking about all things Fabric and with inviting the speakers and answering the questions to learners and attendees. So we had the poll 2-3 months ago to just ask for your preferred time zone for having the Fabric Coffee sessions, and we had a couple of people who were interested in this time zone, that is late Friday afternoon and almost evening in Americas, and also morning in the Australia time zone for New Zealand guys and whoever is in Australia, and very early morning for Indian time zone. I'm saying that's just about the time zone. So feel free to say hi in the chat, and let's see who we have today on our live. And so with that said, I'm gonna just share my screen and do a quick introduction of what we are going to talk about today and who we are. So today is the 32nd Fabric Coffee session at Microsoft Fabric Cafe. I'm super excited about these sessions, the weekly sessions that we have, and when this number is going to increase, it is going to give us more energy to you know uh, be more passionate about that and more serious about these sessions, as we see you guys love it, as same as us. So May 9th at 6 p.m. in Pacific time in Vancouver, where I am. And so we are part of Microsoft Learn community, a great place, the richest place for learning anything about Microsoft and Azure, products and whatever that falls in that landscape. So there are some learning rooms that you can just join to your experts, and just meeting your peers, asking the questions, and sharing your knowledge even. And so we are in Microsoft Fabric Cafe, a Fabric, a learning room in our Microsoft Learn community. With actually over 4,000 members globally. We are focusing on Fabric, and we provide learning and support to Fabric users in all levels. It is a forum for everyone to learn, share, and grow the skills together. And if you would like to follow us on LinkedIn, feel free to do that, where we do all of our announcements and updates from Microsoft Learn and Microsoft Fabric even. And all of our sessions are basically streamed on a YouTube channel. So with the handler of Microsoft Fabric Cafe, you can find us there, and feel free to subscribe and watch the past sessions, and stay tuned for the upcoming sessions. And we've got also a meetup group that you can do your just RSVPs, and again stay tuned for the upcoming sessions and events. So there's a code of conduct, of course, when you're attending the live sessions. Thank you very much for adhering to them. Be respectful, being collaborative, and embrace diversity. Stay professional, act with integrity, use responsibly, and report if you have seen any issue. The past week, in the last week actually, we had a great session with Paulo Garcia. that is already on our YouTube channel again. You can and just rewatch it. And yeah, for today we have Lakshmi from Atlanta in Eastern Time. So she's going to just walk us through the Power BI best kept secrets. I am curious about that to see how she's going to provide us with the secrets in Power BI. So in the meantime, I'm gonna just invite Lakshmi to the stage. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, Mahadar. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I know it is a bit late for you. It is 9 p.m. on your end, but thank you very
Yes,
much. I think it only comes from the love for community and just sharing your knowledge. Thank you very much for being here.
absolutely.
So we've got some highs from around the world. We have Sam from Seattle. Oh, yeah, very close to me. Uh, Achana, hi. Hello. And we have Busari. This time works great in Seattle. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. We try to have it more. So Ashmit, hi all. Hello. And we have Kathleen. Cool. Awesome. Lakshmi, if you want to add anything before I hand over the session to you, if not,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm good. I'm all set to share the secrets that I use to make Power BI fun and make my reports quicker and easier to make.
Oh, nice. That is interesting to learn about them for sure. It is always good to learn from highly experienced experts around the world. Guys, feel free to ask your questions in the chat. I will interrupt Lakshmi, or we can even leave these questions, at the end of the session, or she's gonna have some pauses during the session. Then, yeah, we can uh, just move it forward. And we have other highs, Hadarapti from VA and Saha waking up for the session. Nice. Thank you very much. I guess you're in India.
Yes.
Is 6:30 you said, Lakshmi?
Yes, yes. It's
Cool.
6:30.
Yeah, yeah. And Rawati from I think
IP
India.
India.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna share your screen and Lakshmi, stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mahadad. And thank you to everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from everyone from different parts of the place. And thank you to everyone who put comments down. Really means a lot to me that you're here to attend my session. So I'm going to talk about just going to share some Power BI best kept secrets. So these are some of the tips and tricks that you might not find frequently on YouTube or people really do not know about it. Before we begin the session, a quick introduction about me. So my name is Lakshmi. I am currently a product lead at a company called Trovis. I am a Microsoft certified Power BI data analyst and I'm a regular contributor to the data community. I speak at different events. I have a blog wherein I share my tips and tricks. And I also have, say, a resolution. What I do is every month I try to create one dashboard, one Power BI report, and share it on LinkedIn so that people can learn a few stuff or maybe just be inspired out of it. Also, I'm one of the Power BI Dataviz World Championship finalists that just took place in Las Vegas. And there are a lot of other challenges Power BI people are putting up. So if you want to go ahead and explore, go for it. There is one currently going on in the month of May. I think the theme for that challenge is birds. Go and explore, take part. It's a very good way of getting exposure. Plus, it makes creating dashboards fun. You don't have to create dashboards just for work. On a personal note, I'm a dog mom. I have a dog. You might see him just casually walking by behind me. And also, I'm an advocate of diversity and inclusion. So, this is pretty much about me. And one thing is why I am here is I love making dashboards more fun and less chaotic. And by the end of the session, I just hope you learn one or two tricks, new tricks that you did not know before. And trust me, the tricks that I'm going to share today are not just tricks and tips. They will actually be useful when you create your dashboards. It will save your time, it will make it less chaotic, less hectic, and more fun. So let's get started. I don't have too many slides to show, just direct demo. Let's jump into the fun. Okay. Any questions, please put it in the chat box, and Mehrdad, feel free to interrupt me in between. I'm good with that too. Or we can take the questions at the end. Anything works. The first, so I've divided the tips into different categories. The first is basically related to your data models or semantic models. First tip I'm going to talk is about the index column. The use case here is, for example, you've been given a data set which has no unique column, or say like a unique index column, or a serial number column. That's when this tip and trick can be used. This is a quick example of a data. If you see, I just have order date, I have day of the week, quantity, cost, the slice, pre-order, organic, and pie flavor. What I see here is, although I have a lot of order dates, that might not be very useful when I want to create relationships. Say if there is a serial number, or if I have an index column to make sure, or an order ID column to make it easy for to understand, it would be better. So generally what happens when we are in situations like this is we go back to our source file and make changes there. What instead you can do is just go to your Power Query transformation. So I just click on transform data, navigate to that particular table which I am talking. So I was talking about the uh, table called pie sales. So if you see, I want to add in an index column here. All you have to do is, you have something called add column on the top. Go to add column. You will find index column here. Instead of just giving an index column, we have options wherein you can start your index column, or say your order ID column, from 0, or you can start it from 1, or you can even customize it and give it an increment. Let's keep it simple, and I'm going to start it with 1. Once I hit 1, you see I have a column called index which is created. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Now I can simply go ahead and rename it. So what I'm going to do is, I have index, I'm going to rename it as order ID to make it more relevant to this particular data set. So this is one tip which I'm telling you. So basically this will help you. You don't have to go to your source and make changes. Say you have an Excel file which you imported. You don't have to go and make changes in your Excel file and then again come and import it here. This is how you can do it. Another quick tip which I want to suggest is, when you make changes in your data set. For example, what I did just now is I renamed a column. So if you see in my applied steps, I see renamed columns 1. This doesn't really make sense, because imagine I am handing over this file to my colleague, and my colleague is trying to figure out what were the changes made. He is never going to understand what that was. Instead, you can simply just do a right click, hit rename, and rename this particular step. So what I am going to do is simply put renamed from index to order ID. So this is a great way of making notes or renaming your steps so that it is helpful in the future. Let's go back. Once you are done with this, all you have to do is close and apply. So this is one of the tip that I wanted to share. The second was, just loading. Let's give it a second. The next is, sometimes when you get data, you see that the case, the either it's in lowercase, or it's in uppercase, or it's in a different case. It's not expected, and you want to go ahead and change it. Again, you don't have to go to your Excel file or your CSV file to make those changes and then come back here. Or what you can do is, again, just in my Power Query editor, I am going to go and click my pie sales. In this data set, if you see, I have a column called pie flavor, which has my flavors of the pies, which is apple, you have cherries, you have strawberries. What I can do here, And if you see everything is in uppercase and say you want to convert it into lowercase, all you have to do is go to transform. And then first I would just like to show you a couple of things here. So when you go to transform, you'll have lots of options. I'm not going to go through each of them. I'm going to just share the ones that I use on a regular basis. So you'll have something called format here. Once you hit format, you have options on what you want to do. Say you do lowercase, you will see everything becomes lowercase, but I tend to use capitalize each word, so that when I have strawberry rhubarb, I have S and R in capitals. Once I do that, again, just go ahead, close and apply. You have it ready. Let's go to the data model to check that I added a new column called order ID. Let's maybe just sort it in ascending order. And then what I did was I had a column called pie flavor, which had everything in capital. Now I've made sure that it's in a camel case. There are two tips that we've covered. We've also covered how you can rename the steps that I told you. Just double click and rename it. The next important thing is creating groups. A lot of people do not really know how to do this, or even if they know how to do is, what you do is try to use DAX, complex DAX, put in switch statements, put in if statements, and get confused. Let's talk about a general use case scenario here. I have a data set wherein I have a record of my pie sales orders, and then I have quantity, I have cost. When I see the cost, I see that the cost is either $2.5 or it goes to 40, 60, 80, or 100. Imagine you are doing an analysis where you just want to find out how many of them paid less than $50 and how many of them paid more than $50. The way you do this is either create a measure, or you will create a calculated column in my data set, and then you are going to use a if statement or a switch statement, and then it becomes a little complicated. Although it's not complicated, you can always use the built-in feature of Power BI, which is called groups. What you have to do is do a right click on cost, and just because I'm going to create groups for cost, and hit new group. Once I hit new group, first you have to name what names you want to give. I'm just going to leave it as groups and bins. There are two things to note here. There are two types of groups that you can create. One is a list and second is a bin. Let's stick to list now, or let's talk about bins. What bin does is it will automatically divide that entire column into different bins, and you can select the size of bin. For example, you want 1 to 5 to be in one column or a one bin. You can give the size, define the size as, maybe I just want 5. Or you can even create number of bins. For example, you want to create the number of bins. Say I want my entire cost to be divided from just into 3 to 4 groups. All you have to do is just hit 3 and click OK. Once you do that, you will see, just navigate here, you will see what Power BI did was create 3 bins, took an average out of it and created 3 bins: 2.5, 35, and 75. Now let's select 2.5. When you select 2.5, you will notice that my cost varies between 2.5 and 20. Now let's select maybe 67.5. You will notice that these are the huge values that we had in our data set. Another use case scenario. Let's talk about day of the week. What I decide is, now I want a new column where I'm deciding whether it's a weekend sale or a weekday sale. Instead of creating a new calculated column, putting an if else statement or putting a switch statement, what you have to do, simply do a right click, hit new group. Once you hit new group, you will see that list automatically gets selected. So if the column is of the data type text, automatically list gets selected. What you can do is select the groups, the members that you want to group. For example, let's talk about weekends. I'm going to consider Saturday and Sunday as my weekend. Select Saturday and Sunday, hit group, and then all the others are my weekdays. So I can just check this box called include other groups. Now, once you are ready with your groups, you've seen that this is what I want, you can go and rename them. So I'm just going to rename this as weekend, and instead of others, I want it as weekdays. Once you do that, click OK. You see, I have a new column right here. Now let's do a quick check wherein I'm selecting my weekends. Click OK. Let's go back to my day of the week. You see Saturday and Sunday here. So these are quick tricks of how you can save time. You don't have to sit, write in a DAX code and then verify if it's correct. You can simply do that by creating groups. Hope this is good and hope I taught you some trick you did not know about earlier. Let's now move on to the visual specific tricks and tips that I would like to share. And trust me, this is my favorite part because I love playing around with visuals, playing around with formatting settings. The first thing I am going to share is visual alignments and spacings. So, the use case scenario is, for example, you have a dashboard wherein you have, say, three different KPI cards or just three different visuals in general. What we do most of the time, let me just copy paste this for you. Okay. What we do most of the time is when we are aligning, we tend to make a guess, squint our eyes, keep guessing if it's correct or if the space is even, if the alignment is correct or not. This wastes a lot of time because this, since I have just three cards here, it doesn't really make sense. But imagine you have 5 to 6 visuals, you're just playing around with it. It's going to take a lot of time. Instead, what you can do is say, I have an arrangement like this where I'm trying to figure my first aim is I want to make sure everything is in a straight line. All you have to do is select all your visuals, go to format, you have an option called align. Once you click align, you have options called align top, align middle, or align bottom. What this does is out of the three visuals here, if you choose align middle, it'll align everything in the middle or align everything at the top. Let's just click middle for now. Once I hit middle, you see how everything is now properly aligned. And now let's talk about spacing. Some we when we have a lot of KPI cards, I know a lot of us struggle with spacing. We just keep trying to adjust it, keep guessing if it's properly spaced or not. What you can simply do is, the quick classic example is right here in front of your screen. You see that between the sum of cost and sum of profits, you have a little lesser space compared to the other. Instead of guessing or instead of trying to do it manually, all you can do is click everything together, go back to format, go to align, and then you have an option called distribute horizontally. Once you hit distribute horizontally, what it does is it takes the two cornermost visuals as reference and then spaces each of them evenly. So just keep your eyes on these three cards. Once I hit distribute horizontally, you will see how the card in the middle moved and now each of them is equally spaced. This also works when you are talking about vertical arrangements. Say I have a couple of buttons which I wanted to set vertically. Now, if you see the same spacing problem exists, all I have to do is click everything, select everything together, go to format, go to align, and click distribute vertically. Once I do that, you see how the space in between gets properly aligned. This is one quick tip. Another, since I'm telling you this tip, I'd also like to tell you this thing, that sometimes when we are playing around with visuals, moving them is a big issue, big hassle. Sometimes it doesn't really stick or doesn't even move. What you could do is, you see these three dots, use these three dots instead to move, and you will never face a problem. This also works when you're going to group visuals. So, say I group these visuals, sometimes when I move, it doesn't work properly, or one of the card just moves out of the group. Instead, what you could do is just use these three buttons to move. It just saves you a lot of time. This is a quick tip. Another tip what I would like to share here is, when you're working with different type of visuals, you could use the settings option. So say I'm clicking this particular card visual, I have size and style. Here I have positions called horizontal and vertical positions, 565 and 93. So for example, I am moving my visual to 351 and 353. If you want to make sure that this is also somewhere next to it, all you have to do is go ahead and change this 351. You see that how it became, the horizontal position became correct, and then you can play around with the vertical positions to make sure they are in the same horizontal line. Another thing I would like to share is about the sizing of the visuals. Say you have created a couple of KPI cards and you want to put all of them together. You align them beautifully in a horizontal way, and then it's evenly spaced. But then you see that sometimes we struggle with the sizing. So I will show you a classic example here. So sometimes our KPI cards look like this, and then to make sure there is even space, we just keep playing around, we increase it, we decrease it. This uh, wastes a lot of time. Instead of doing this increase decrease, you could probably spend more time analyzing your data. One quick way to fix this is, once you click a KPI card, same in the size and style, you would find height and width. Make a note of it. So let's keep height as 130, and just for this demo, we'll keep it as 190. 130 and 190. All you have to do is go to this particular card, put 130, put 190. Similarly, go to this card, put 130 and 190. Now you will see that all the cards are equal in size. So these are quick tips and tricks on how you can make sure the visuals are aligned properly, are spaced properly, and are of the same size. Hope this was something new for someone here. Let's move on to rounded corners. So this tip is, so there are two tricks in this. The first tip which I'm going to talk about is, I have a simple bar chart in front. I'm going to convert this bar chart into a lollipop chart just by in a couple of steps. After doing that, I will go on with the next tip that I want to talk about. So the first thing to note here is, why lollipop chart? So this is my personal preference. So when I have charts like this, I feel like the bars are too wide, and I feel it is a more cluttered. To make it more neat, what I do is I opt for a lollipop chart. The simple way of how you can convert a native chart. So Power BI does not provide a lollipop chart, so you will not find lollipop chart here. I found a quick tip, a quick trick where I change the formatting settings of a bar chart to bring it in to a lollipop chart. Let's just copy paste this for now. Okay. So the first thing what you're going to do is head on to bars and go to layout. And the first thing is a lollipop chart. How does a lollipop chart look? Like a lollipop. It's going to have a very thin base with a lollipop, a candy on the top. So my first aim is to make the columns thin. In order to make the columns thin, I have to increase the space between the bars. So this is where you will find the settings called space between categories. Let's just increase to maximum. So now you see how just by increasing the space between the bars became thin and lean. Once you're good with this, I'm just going to go and change the color to a grayish shade. The next thing what I told you was a lollipop. A lollipop has a candy on the top. So basically, I just want candies on the top. What I'm going to do is use a error bar option here. When I go to error bars, the first thing is I'm going to enable it. After enabling, since this is the upper bound, so since this is the top of the lollipop, I'm going to drag the same measure which I've used here, or the same column that I've used here, which is total quantity. I'm going to drag and drop the total quantity here. One second. Total quantity here. After dragging the quantity, I'm going to head to the markers. Since lollipops are circular in shape on the top, I'm going to hit circle and then just play around with the size of the marker to make it into a lollipop chart. And there's one more thing you could do is maybe just change the color of the lollipop. So I'm just going to put my candy in blue color. So if you now compare both these charts, they convey the same things, but if you see, this lollipop chart looks a little less cluttered. So this is one quick way how you can use error bars to convert a normal stacked bar chart into a lollipop chart. Another thing, what you could do, probably I was just playing around with it some time back, is make the bars have rounded corners. And again, I would like to just mention that this is just for making it look beautiful. Say you're creating an infographic dashboard, you can use it. But in a business scenario, I would prefer not using a rounded corner. All you have to do here is just change, click match series colors. Once you do that, it's going to become gray in color. And then the border, I'm going to make sure that it's in the same color too. So, and then I am going to make sure to reduce the size of my marker so that it fits into my bars. So now do you see how my bar chart has rounded corners? You could even play with it more. Say I want to increase, I'm going to increase the bars a little bit, and then you could always increase the marker size. Let's just increase it. I'm just eyeballing here. So now if you see how my bars have rounded corners. So these are two quick tips and tricks you could do just by changing a couple of formatting settings. You can change a stacked bar chart into a lollipop chart. Why? Because lollipop chart sometimes I feel makes the dashboard look more elegant and less cluttered. Second trick was just to introduce rounded bars. If you're creating a infographic style of dashboards, this is where it helps. Hope you like these tips. The next is field parameters. So this is a very you can say a concept which is not used by a lot of people even though they know it. A quick use case scenario is I've seen dashboards where they have total quantity by food item, they have a bar chart representing it. And then they also have total profit by food item. So if you see this, uh, the food item is common, but all I'm doing is one chart is for total quantity and one chart is for total profit. What happens is two things. One, I'm having two unnecessary bar charts, and then it's taking up a lot of space. A good way is to combine it into a single chart, have a beautiful slicer where the user can go ahead and switch to see the data. All you have to do here is, let me just copy paste this for now. Okay, all you have to do is create parameters. You will find the parameters in modeling. Go to new parameter and click fields. Once you click fields, you can rename your parameters. So let me just put it as sales parameters because we're going to talk about quantity and we're going to talk about profit. After that, just choose your profit, choose your quantity, add slicer to page and hit create. Once you hit create, you will see that a slicer comes up automatically. Along with that, a new table gets created. Let's have a look at the table. Let me just zoom it for you. Once you have a look in the table, you see that how automatically Power BI made sure I have two parameters, which is total profits, total quantity, and they're aligned as 0 and 1. Now you decide I don't want the word total in front of it. Just edit it out here, profits and quantity, and then you decide nope, I want profit for quantity first and then profit. Just change the number to 0 and 1 and hit enter. And like while I'm telling you this trip, another trip which I would like to tell you is if you want to zoom in and out your DAX measure. So by default, if you see it comes out like really small, all you have to do is click here, hit control and use the scroll button on your mouse to increase or decrease the size. So this is really helps me really well when I have to present something. So that's a quick tip here. Let's go back to my field parameters. So now I have my parameters ready. I'm going to go back to my chart. Now, instead of selecting total profits, I'm going to put my parameter in my x-axis. And then now, once I put my parameter, you see how I have quantity and profits here. I am going to select quantity. You see how I have total quantity. And then when I select profit, it changes to my profit. Let me see. Yeah, hope you see the values 107 and then the profit becomes 66. To make it more beautiful, I am going to change a couple of things in my slicer. So I'm going to make my slicer into tiles. Beautiful tiles like this, reducing the size, playing around with them and just going to put it on the corner like this. So now when a user is going to come here, he knows that I have two buttons here, which I can use to play around. So when I click quantity, you see how pizza is on the top, onion rings, and then pasta. When I go to profits, it's the same, but then the bottom gets changed. So what I'm trying to do right now is instead of having two different charts, kind of representing the same thing on one axis, I am converting it into one chart, making it more interactive just by using field parameters. Next, let's move on to clear all and a search options in slicers. So what happens is, say I have a lot of slices in my report because I want to make it more interactive. Then you see a user comes, he plays around, he selects, makes a lot of changes, and for the food he makes a lot of changes, he changes the month, he selects August and February, and then he just leaves. And then another user comes back and he is wondering, oh my god, why my food item is just 3 when I have 7 to 8 in my menu. And then he realizes there are 3 4 slices where my values are selected. That's the reason my value is being sliced. One way of getting rid of this slicer is, let me just copy paste it. So one way of getting rid of the slicer is go ahead and uncheck it, or just use this erase button to get it clear. If they are just one or two, say one or two slices, you can always go ahead and use the erase buttons. But imagine I have 3 to 4 slices, or I have like 7 to 8 slices, and you cannot expect everyone to go ahead and clean it. So what Power BI has done has added an option called clear all slices. A lot of people do not really know about it. What So once I hit clear all slices, you see I have a button called clear all slices come up here. The main functionality is, just when you hit the clear all slices, all my slices values gets cleared. To make it more intuitive, make it more easy for the user to understand, we can change a couple of things here. For example, in the button style, I don't want the text clear all slices here. What I can do is just switch off my text and then switch on my icon. And in the icon, I can choose what icon I want. For example, let's say a reset icon. So reset also means clearing everything. So I'm just going to use a reset icon, and then just play around with the settings to make it more like, what do I say, relevant to your theme colors or relevant to your dashboard. And then just make sure, like once you have a reset button, just make sure to put it next to all the slices. So now I will just show you the functionality. If I just click this, you see how all my slices get selected just by a single click. So just remember that whenever you're having more than 4 to 5 slices, make sure to have the quick reset button. This button makes it more user intuitive, user friendly, plus reduces work for the end users. Is there any questions coming up, Megha?
Excuse me,
Yeah.
yeah, Lakshmi.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. You're bombing each other, actually, bombing everyone with the tips and tricks. That's a lot, and that's awesome. Cool. There are two questions. While you're here, one comes from
Okay.
Harini and says it goes back, I think, to your second
Hmm.
tips and tricks, visual alignment and data. Shall I group the visual and
You
align
don't
it?
have to group the visual, just select everything together and align it. Just select everything
Okay.
together and align it. That's the best way to go with this.
Yeah. And we've got another question from
Mhm.
Arun Kumar. So related to field parameters, if you go to that section, the question is, since the profits are in dollar values, how do we format them correctly displayed as $100 against the quantity values as numbers, which are, yeah.
That's a great question. So first, I'll tell you that it was a mistake from my side. So when I had a data model, I should have made sure that when I created my measure, I should have converted into currency. So currently, if you see, what I did is I just converted into dollars. Once I make that change in my data model, field parameter automatically picks up. So if you see right now, when I click quantity, I have 107. When I hit profits, it automatically becomes $66. So if the values in your data model gets picked up here. So just make sure when you have your semantic models, have all your currencies, have your decimals, have your percentages, all that get picked up beautifully by field parameters. Yep.
Cool. And a question from Sam. I think it goes back to your first
Mhm.
tips and tricks. Will creating groups be faster than calculated columns in terms of
Yes,
performance?
because once you create calculated columns, so since I have very less data, that works. But when you have more data, what it does, it goes like line by line, calculates it, and you have a column. But when you create groups, it must quicker, because Power BI does it for you on the back. all together like a bulk creation, so it saves a lot of time. Yes, it does affect the performance. If you really want to test it out, I would suggest have two scenarios and use the performance analyzer. I don't know if you know how to use it, but once you use a performance analyzer, you will be able to see the difference in the performance between the both.
Cool. And the next question goes to the slicer section that says clearing all slicers are clearing slices on sync pages
So
as
if you
well.
see, I just created a sync. I Once I cleared this, you see it gets cleared here too. So yes, it does. Since it's synced, whatever changes you're going to make, it will affect. If you're going to change selections, you are going to see the changes in the other thing. If you're going to hit clear all slices, it will make sure that all the sync slices gets cleared.
Cool. And there's a comment, or maybe it's going to be a kind of question for the slicer
Hmm.
section. When you have the, I think the parameter, if I'm not mistaken, for the quantity and profit. So it says on the chart you are using, the title does not change when you hit the other button on the
Yes,
slicer.
I'll tell you why, because I have hard coded it, but I can do it again for you. Let me just put food and then put sales parameter in my thing here. So now you will see that when I hit quantity, it automatically changes, and it when you do profit, it automatically changes. The reason why it didn't change for me was I just copied this particular bar just to make it for look beautiful. But this is how it is. Field parameter will automatically help you change your titles. Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. I think that was a good break,
Mhm.
and we'll catch you up later.
Perfect.
Yeah, the stage
Thank
yours.
you. Thank you so much for getting the questions. Okay. So, hope clear all button made sense. Also tells you how important it is to have a clear all button when you're having more number of slices. Another quick thing I would like to share is adding a search option. This is for the end users to make it more intuitive for them. For example, say I have my 12 months out here, or say I have lot of food items here, and you want the user to go ahead and search. If you type something here, you will not really be able to search. In order to add a search option, just click on the three buttons, hit search. Now when you open this, you see how I have a search button come up, search option come up here. So this is something which you could add to make it more user friendly, makes it more easy for the user to play around with slices. So this is much about the slicer buttons. Let's move on to date hierarchies. So now let's talk about a table. So what I am going to do is, let me do it from scratch for you. I have a simple table and I am going to add in my date. And mostly dates we use in hierarchies. When I add the date in hierarchy, you see how I get four different columns in a hierarchical way. And I can always go ahead, and if I'm just focusing on year, I can go ahead and remove quarter, month, and day from here. If it's quarter, you can like just keep it as quarter, and so on. So now, if you want to show the entire date, not divided or split into different columns, all you have to do is in the columns, right click here and hit order date instead of date hierarchy. Once I hit order date, you see how all the original data from my source, all the dates from my source, without being split into more column, it is like better to have everything in a single column. So this was another quick tip. When you're playing around with dates and you want everything to be in a simple line, all you have to do is just do right click and change it to order date. Next is table sparkline. So this is something which I really like to use to make tables look less boring and more interesting. So these are two types of spark lines and bars that you could add to a table. So this is just an example of, I wanted to show you how you can do it. Let's do one thing. Let me copy paste this to get rid of the sparkline. So imagine I have a table like this, and I want to add in a spark line here or a trend line here where I'm showing you the trend of cost by my month. So what I want is a simple line chart where I'm showing the cost by the month. What you have to do is just there is an option here you could go ahead and add. Yeah, so in insert, you have an option called add a sparkline. Just hit add a sparkline. And then you just have to select your y-axis and x-axis. So for the y-axis, let me just go ahead and select month, because I just want a monthly trend. And for the x-axis, let's go and select the cost. So this was the pie sales, right? Yeah, cost, and hit create. Oh, sorry. I think I selected the wrong table. This was the pie sales table. I'm sorry. I used the other table. So I am going to select y-axis is going to be my cost, pi sales. For the x-axis, I'm going to keep it as pi sales, and then I'm going to keep it as month. Yes, so now you see how I have a simple trend line showing me the cost by month. How you can improve this is come to the sparklines option. Under the marker, you have a lot of options where you can show my highest points, you can show your lowest points, or the first or the last. The way I use is I always choose the highest point and maybe just show it in a different color. This way, what I try to analyze is, say, since this is month, I know the first half, I can visually see this is the first half and this is the second half. You will be able to see that apple and pumpkin are probably more interesting or more purchased towards the end of the year. And I can also conclude that since in the US we have Thanksgiving, and apple, cinnamon, pumpkins are the most loved flavor during the fall, during the Thanksgiving, that's when the purchase increases. So you see how a simple trend line here could make me understand more about what the trend could be. Now, if you are not fan of the line charts, you want something like a bar chart, what you have to do is simply go to chart type in the spark line and change it to column. You will be able to see that the columns you just have columns instead of bars. And again, it's very easy for you to understand. When you look at apple and pumpkin, it's always more towards the end of the year. So this is pretty much about the spark lines, and I hope you would use this. This really improves, one, the analysis, and also makes it look prettier, beautiful. Let's move on to empty value. So this is something yeah, go ahead.
Uh, excuse
Yeah.
me, Lakshmi. I just don't want to, be that much far from the
Mhm.
comments and questions. Uh, so the question comes from Schmidt. In continuation to Sam's number two question, it was related to the slicers for the sync
Yes.
pages. It is the same happens for apply for the same happens for apply all slicers, and is it more optimized to
Yes,
use?
so apply slicers also. So when you're going to sync slicers, any change you make in this slicer, you do apply slicers, it is going to make sure that it is synced in all the others. And to be honest, I don't really like using apply all slices, because sometimes I don't know if it's a glitch or I am using it the wrong way. Talking about my personal experience, sometimes I feel like not all my values are getting selected. So I preferably tend to avoid all slices, because I always have an all option here. So that's my answer. So yeah, it will affect all the sync slices just like the clear all slices.
Yeah, and a more comment from Sam for change of case of columns. This is recommended to be in a view better than having Power BI taking care of this, as it will impact data refresh
Absolutely.
time.
This is absolutely correct. But the trick that I shared was, just imagine a use case scenario where you went ahead and created the whole dashboard and you're ready to publish, and suddenly you realize that there is something you want to do. So instead of chicken tenders in a camel case, you see that it's chicken and then tenders T is small. The onion rings R is small. And now you want to make a change. It's always better. Like, instead of, if I've imported an Excel file, instead of me going and doing it again, I find it more easier. And again, it just works when I'm importing CSV or Excel. But it works. I mean, it saves my time, instead of me getting it edited in Excel and then putting the Excel back. And sometimes it affects, once I change my data source, my other visuals get affected. But yeah, Sam, that's a great comment. When if you're in the starting stage where you're uploading your reports and you see all the columns and you are pretty sure that this is what you want, you can go ahead with it. But just in case you miss, like a simple mistake, like onion rings, I have R in small. After creating the dashboard, I am like, oh my God, I made this mistake and I want to change it. That's how you could change it. So my trick will help you change it once I'm done with the entire dashboard.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
another comment related to the hierarchy of dates.
Mhm.
Uh, from a performance best practice, it is recommended to disable date hierarchy. It is a very performance hit. Create your own hierarchy. It's a good comment from Sam
Yes.
as well.
That's a great comment. So there are two things. One is they say auto time intelligence. It's better to switch off your auto time intelligence in your Power BI. It saves a lot of performance thing, and even the data hierarchy. Since we're talking about the best practice, I'll just show you a quick thing where you can go ahead and switch off your auto date tables. So you have to go to settings. So generally, what we people do, again, there's a trick here. We go to file, we go to options and settings, then we go to options, and then you have an options dialog box pop up. Instead of doing this, on the right corner, bottom corner, you see a gear icon. Just click on the gear icon, you will be able to open your settings much quicker. And then here, if you see, I think it is in your data load. Yeah. So you have auto time intelligence enabled here, which is not a good practice. So always disable your auto time intelligence. It saves a lot of performance. A
Sure.
quick tip here. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for your comment. Okay, let's move on. Anything else, Mehrdad? Are we
Yeah,
good?
go for it. Nothing else.
Great. So we're done with this. We're done with Sparkline. Coming to empty values. So this is something which I've seen on a lot of dashboards that people make. Is let's go to my data model. I have a simple data set where I have months and I have the cost. Let's just imagine the cost of XYZ product. And then you see for a couple of months I have blank values. Maybe there was no sales, or maybe there was no production at all, or maybe there was some issue because of which the data was missing and I don't have any value. Now I go ahead and I create my data, and then when I see this trend, if I'm going to show it to an end user, the end user is just going to look at the charts and say, okay, yeah, we're going good. Everything is in the positive. All is good. But when you see the x axis, you see Jan, Feb, March is missing, April, May, and there are a couple of other months which are missing. Instead of showing something like this and misguiding the users, I always suggest that even if there are blanks, make sure that you show it. The way you do it is, since the months are missing my value, in the month, in the field bucket, just right click it and click show items with no data. Once I do that, you will be able to see that I now all my months come up and I see that these months are missing. There are two ways how you could use it. Is one, as a developer, when you do this, you will be able to see that, oh my God, some of my values are missing. I can go ahead, go to my data engineering team and figure out what my values are, what the reason might be. Two, as an end user, you will come to know that there are some issues in March, May, July, September, and October because of which my values are not missing. So instead of misguiding the users, it's always better to show what the values are, which are null or which are missing. So this is a quick tip of how you could show empty values just by clicking your x-axis, clicking and then selecting show items with no good data. Coming to reference lines. So this is something which I suggest everyone to do. When you create line charts, what people generally do, line charts, put on years, put in your total cost, and then you're good. This is a very good way of showing a trend where I can easily see where is my increase, where is my dip, where is my stability. Just by adding another reference line or adding an average line, I can add more context to a line chart. So this is an inbuilt feature offered by Power BI. You don't have to write a separate DAX, or you don't have to know DENEB to make that change. All you have to do is click your line chart, go ahead to reference lines. On after going to reference line, just click on add line. Once you click add line, you will have to choose the type of line. There are a lot of lines type. You have a median line, you have an average line, you have a percentile line. For the demo purposes, I'm just going to add in a click and add the average line. Once I hit the average line, you see how I have a line automatically coming up here, and it also tells me the average. In order to improve it, I'm just going to switch on my data label. You see how I have 488. So basically 488 is my average. To make it more understandable, I am going to change my style by adding data value along with the name. Now I have average line 488. Instead of average line, say you want to edit it, just go ahead here and click and edit it, say AVG, and then I'm just putting a semicolon. Oh, sorry. No need to put a semicolon. Now I have AVG 488. So this can, again, you can always go ahead and improve the styling. For example, I can have it above, I can have it below, I can have it on the left side, I can have it on the right side, maybe change it to a more subtle color. Like I don't want it to pop, so I'm just making it in a grayish color. And then even the line of the color I can change. I'm also going to change it to gray color. So once, what happened now is, once I added an average reference line, it gives me an additional insight saying 2015, 2019, 20, and 21 were the sales were above average, but the rest of them were below average. So this is a quick way of how you can use the inbuilt Power BI feature called average line to add more context, to add more insight to your line chart. So I hope now, if I see any of your dashboards, I hope I see the average lines in it. So that's a quick tip. Moving on to interactivity. So what happens sometimes is we create visuals. Please ignore the designing and formatting. This is just for demo. Sometimes what you want is, you do not want the visuals to interact with each other. For now, if you see, by default, you will see that visuals interact with each other. Let me just see if I have a proper example. Yeah, so if I'm going to click pizza, okay, I have switched off my interaction right now, but I'll just show you how to switch it on. In Optimize, you have optimization presets. In that, you have three options: query, reduction, interactivity, and customize. So when I click interactivity and hit got it, you will see how each of my visual gets interactive and gets, if I click fries, I have all information about my fries. If I'm clicking pizza, I have all information about my pizza. Say I do not want any interaction because I want just it to be like a stable report, you can go ahead and click query reduction. Once you do that, you will see that no matter what change you make, nothing is going to happen. This is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is using edit interactions. Go to format and see edit interactions. Hit on edit interactions here. You see how I have three options here, and all of them have been in the are highlighted in the none. So since I have query reduction there, it comes as none. In these three options, there's something called filtering, there's something called highlighting. For example, let's make everything as a filtering. What happens is, when I click something, okay, since it's query reduction, it's not going to work, but yeah, so these are just two ways I wanted to show. I prefer using the optimization presets. Just if I want it to interact, click on interactivity. If I do not want to interact, just click on not the query reduction. So this is how you can control your interactivity. Moving on to export data. So this is a very rare use case, but I just wanted to share it with you. Is, for example, I've created a table and I want to make a report out of it, or make a documentation, or I just want to pass this information to my team. You don't have to send this entire PBIX. You don't have to go ahead, take a screenshot and send it to them, or you don't have to type this out in an Excel format. All you can do is click this particular table, use the three dots on the top, and then you have something called export data. Click export data, go to desktop. Let's just save it as data CSV. Let me quickly go to desktop, data CSV. You will see that my entire table has been converted into a CSV file with all my data. Now I can always go ahead and share this with my manager, with my client, or with my team. So export data is a very quick way of how you can, after finishing an analysis, you can quickly export your table there. Coming to small multiples. This is a feature that everyone knows, but a lot of people don't use. And I prefer using it. I really like it, makes work easier and analysis more easier. So the way how you can do this is, let me just copy paste it. Okay. So now just simply create your chart. Like I've used a simple stack chart where I have the flavors of my pie on one side, and then I have my total cost on the other side. Now I want to see how it changes in different quarters. All I have to do is put my quarter field into my small multiples right here. So you have an option called small multiples. What it does is, the name itself says small multiples, breaks it down to small areas where it shows me for quarter one, this is the trend, quarter two, this is the trend, quarter three, this is the trend, and quarter four, this is the trend. Another quick built-in features offered by Power BI is you can format this entire small multiples. In the format option in small multiples, you can see if you want to divide it as 2 and 2, you can do that. Or if you want to increase the columns as 4 and then you want to just show everything side by side like this, you could do that too. Another quick features here is play around with the borders, play with the titles. So if you see now all my quarter one, quarter two are on the top, you can get it in the bottom as well. You can align these titles and other basic features that are always available. So the basic advantage of using this is, instead of me creating quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four separately by copy pasting or adding visual level filters, a simple small multiple shows you beautiful comparison, insightful insights about what the sales was like in quarter one and how was it in quarter four. And like I told you, since it's Thanksgiving, since it's falls, it's fall time during the quarter four, you will see that apple and pumpkin are way ahead. People love you apple pies and pumpkin pies during that time. So that's pretty much about Sam. Yeah, Sam also says that small multiples were there in Power BI since a long time, but a lot of people did not really use it. And I just wanted to highlight and show that this is really important. This is how you could use it. Great. And I'll come to your question at the end, Sam. I just want to quickly finish with this. I just have a couple of tips left. Coming to other basic shortcuts, so this is something which I also use on a regular basis. So in the bottom, you see I have a lot of tables right here, a lot of pages right here. And if I want to navigate between, you don't really have to use these buttons. All you have to do is do a right click. You will get a list of pages and you can just navigate easily. This is one quick thing. Another thing is, say you have a lot of pages and you want to reorder your pages. What we currently do is, say I want shortcuts to be my first page, I am going to move it manually and then click on this button and then go ahead and move manually. Instead, let's put shortcuts back. What you can do is do a right click, you have an option move to, and then you can move wherever you want. So since I want to move it to the end, I'm just going to hit move it to the end. So this simple thing just saves time, uh, helps you make work easier. Next is a visual font size or any formatting setting where you want to increase or decrease something. For example, let's just talk about this table where I have values, and you see I have 10 here. Now if I want to increase, let's make it 9 for now, and say I want to increase it to 12 or 13, what, or I'm trying to figure out what my right size is, what I do is I will go ahead, keep clicking this up arrow to make sure that okay, I am good with this size. Instead of that, what you could do is just click on this 9, use the scroll icon, scroll button in your mouse, just keep scrolling. You will see that you don't have to keep clicking on the up arrows, it automatically changes. So it's easy for you to just scroll up and down your scroll button in your mouse to make sure you find which size suits you. That's one quick tip. Another tip is resetting the formattings. For example, you go ahead, you have a formatting like this, you tend to make a lot of changes and then you suddenly decide that no, I do not like this, I want to go back to my default. What people generally do is, say data labels, you have option called reset to default. So once you hit reset to default, since data labels are off by default, you see that default went away. And then say I have my bar colors, I wanted to go back to default, you go ahead and hit reset to default. You will see that for individual items you will keep having to go back to default. Instead of doing that, you want to go back to default, you can just click on this, click on the three buttons here, and you have an option called reset all settings to default. Once you do that, all your default settings, so that includes your y-axis, your x-axis, everything comes up, and then you can start from scratch. Instead of you deleting the entire visual, creating the visual again from scratch, you could do this. That's a quick tip. I already told you about zooming into measures. For example, you've created a measure. Let's talk about this measure. And then you say it's too tiny on your eyes. Just click on this. Use your scroll button to go up and down. You will see that the measure box zooms in and zooms out. Another quick thing is sorting of a table. All of us know it's very easy to sort table. Like just click on this particular column and then you can sort it out. Now, for example, I have a sum of quantity. I've sorted it in an ascending order. I have tens, 11, 12, 13, and so on. But on the left side, you see I have fries, I have onion rings, I have pizza, and again I have fries on the end. And you want to sort it according to fries too. All you have to do is use shift and then click this. You will see that this also gets sorted out according to this particular column. So this is how you could multi-sort stuff. Next is viewing all keyboard shortcuts is just click your shift and question mark. You will see that all the shortcuts in Power BI for people for accessibility features for people who do not have a mouse or just use tabs to control between the reports, you can see what are the shortcuts available. So this is pretty much it. And one of the most favorite and the most less used tip is visual alignment and spacing. Do give it a try. I am sure that it will help you save time. It'll help you get out of that frustration. And yep, that's pretty much it from my side. Hope you guys learnt one or two. If you have any other tip, make sure to put it on the comments. It'll be really helpful to everyone. And I will just take this minute to quickly thank Meredith for giving me this opportunity and for everyone who managed the time zones to be present here. And yep, that's pretty much it from my side. Thank you, guys.
Awesome, awesome, Lakshmi. That was great. I cannot count how many tips you have provided us today, but we will found actually count it later.
Mhm.
Myself, I have to rewatch the video because it was each section of that could be a maybe live video. Cool, but there are some questions here. One is coming from uh, Analytics Hub. How can we use top filter in field parameter like I want top 5 products with respect to total revenue and profit? If you want to share your screen, I can bring it
Yeah,
up if you want to demonstrate it. If not, if we want to just explain it, that's fine.
Yeah, so
Up
for
to you.
this, you could use numeric parameters. Again, like Mehrad said, it'll take a different session altogether. But we do have this feature. You can have numeric field parameters. Just check the Power BI documentation. You will find it out.
Cool.
Mhm.
A question from Sam. Does export to CSV still have 30,000 rows limitation?
Yes, it does. Unfortunately, I don't know why. I don't know the reason, but it still has the 30K rows limitation. Yes.
Maybe just a joke, as you guys there's a tariff on exporting data from Power BI to Excel or CSV. Just
Right,
keep in
right,
mind,
right.
it is not suspended, it is in place. Cool. So it is just for your information, export data
Yes,
functionality is being disabled these days at org level,
yes,
organization level, to
yes.
reduce sensitive data leakages. But I agree, it's one of the highly used feature. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. That's great. Thank you, Karan Kumar, for that.
Just how to show the shortcuts again.
Shift and your question mark.
Shift question mark.
Yes. So
Awesome.
it'll just bring out the entire shortcuts menu for you.
Awesome. So I don't see any more question. There are some comments. I'm gonna just show them quickly, very
Mhm.
quickly, to just show our respect to everyone. Uh, there's an hi actually from
Sujata.
Sujata, yeah, from Maharashtra. Yeah. And Khader says, I'm very new to Power BI. We hope it was very useful for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have hi from Croatia. It is 3 a.m. Thank you very much for being available here at
Wow.
3, 4 a.m. In Europe. And yeah, good morning, Lakshmi. Sujata again is Modup from South Africa. If it is the Modup that I know, he's called Dupes. Hey, Dupes. And so thank you very much. I learned a lot from Kathleen. Thank you for joining. And Tanya, great information. Thank you. Heather, thank you so much. I learned a lot. Yeah, we do. And Karan Kumar, great session. Thank you very much. Cool. I don't see any more comments or questions. I'm gonna just quickly share my screen. But before that, Lakshmi, thank you very much for your participation here. We have another session with Lakshmi in June, late June, I think. But
Yes.
it will be announced at the month. But stay tuned for more information about that. I'm gonna just share my screen again. So our session with Lakshmi is done. Thank you very much for attending. If you missed that, and of course you're gonna need to rewatch it for lots of those tips and tricks that was provided. If you want to just watch them, rewatch them again, it is going to be available immediately on our YouTube channel. So you can just share it with your friends, with your colleagues, whoever can benefit from them. And our next session will be on May 24th with Hyun. We may have a session in middle on 17th of May, but it is not confirmed yet. We will inform you guys for sure. And stay tuned for the upcoming sessions. You can follow us on LinkedIn page. The QR code lands you on our LinkedIn page, there where we do all of our announcement updates. And again, our YouTube channel is on handler of Microsoft Fabric Cafe. And don't forget to rate today's session at Meetup group. I'm sure most of you guys have been actually RSVP'd in for this session. Feel free to add your comments as well. And what else? Do we have any comment here? Yeah, great session. Yeah, Sam, got it. Thank you. There's a question, I think.
Mhm.
Rawati, can you please give me some clarification on when to use calculated column and create DAX measure?
Just a quick tip here. So always remember the DAX measures are going to go row wise and during your report building. So when you're creating a visual and then you're using a DAX measure there, according to the values in that visual, the values of the DAX measure will change. The calculated column is in the data model, it's going to be fixed. According to the rows, you're going to get a value. The calculated column is going to be fixed always. So just remember the DAX measure is something it's done on the spot. So basically, depending on the values, depending on the filters, the values will change. But the calculated column, just by the definition which you provide, it's always going to be fixed. That's the answer, Revati.
Awesome, awesome. And then very informative. So
Thank
as
you.
usual, so wonderful and informative. Thank you. And yeah, it's Dupes. Hey, Dupes. So I don't know what's this
I think
topic.
those are emojis that came up
I
like
think
that.
yeah, the emojis that are coming like this. Well, Lakshmi, it's an informative session. We'll use your tips in next dashboard. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and just yeah, thank you for joining, Karan Kumar. It's very informative, and
Thank you.
uh, yeah, you see, people love it. And Sam, DAX measures
Yes.
are dynamic.
Right. They change. Yeah.
And Sam, thank you very much for your tips and having all of these informative comments that are really appreciated. That is always appreciated and lovely. That we see community members are helping each other as well. Just
Right.
commenting for each other. Just it is the meaning of the community, which we love it.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. Yeah. Now we are 15 minutes past our from our
No worries.
scheduled time. It is 10:15 on your end. Again, thank you very much, Lakshmi.
No worries.
And enjoy your weekend. Yeah, if you have anything to add, feel free to add it. If not, we can just wrap up the session and say goodbye.
Mhm. Just a quick thank you note again to Meredith. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone. And yep, thank you, Sam, specifically for all the questions that you've asked. I think those questions were really helpful for everyone, the rest of them too. And yep, that's. I think that's pretty much it. We can wrap it up.
Cool. Thank you very much,
Thank
guys. Enjoy
you.
your weekend and